It's Thursday, but it's not just any Thursday this morning. It's a Jasiri kind of Thursday. The kind where the tea is hot, the vibes are sharp, and the conversation always on point and unapologetically bold. So whether you're watching us from your office, your kitchen, or you're stuck in Lagos traffic wondering what that one downfall is that's just blocking the whole road, Ekbele, but it's Jasiri o'clock. You've made it, and we're so glad you're here with us. Now, on this space, we say that others whisper. This is the table where we ask the questions that matter. And today, we're shining a spotlight on a health issue too many women suffer in silence. Despite the fact that it affects millions of Nigerian women, fibroids are still wrapped in shame, myths, and misinformation. But first,
while still speaking of our healthcare system, imagine walking into a hospital with a sick child and there's no one to help, no nurses, no direction, just confusion, frustration, and fear. It's not imagination, but reality for thousands across Nigeria. This morning, as nurses across federal health institutions have started a nationwide warning strike. This is a 7-day action by the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives over long-ignored demands, including fairer pay, better allowances, massive recruitment, and proper recognition. From Abuja to Bayelsa, Ogun to Gombe, services are skeletal and families have been left stranded. Even ICUs aren't being spared, reportedly. So the few health workers on ground are struggling to cope. Nurses say their demands are long overdue: an upward review of shift and uniform allowances, a separate salary structure for nurses, more code duty allowances, massive recruitment, and the creation of a nursing department within the Ministry of Health. Union leaders say the government was given a 15-day notice. Nothing changed, and now they're standing their ground.
Now, according to Punch, at the Federal Medical Centre in Abuja, long queues formed at nearly every department. Union executive monitored compliance. The NAM chairman, Victor Asu, made it clear nurses will no longer attend to patients during this period, not even in critical units. However, there may still be room for dialogue. The Federal Ministry of Health says it's taking steps to resolve the crisis. A high-level meeting has been scheduled for Friday, August 1st, involving the Ministry of Labour, the Office of the Head of Service, the Salaries and Wages Commission, and the union's leadership. Now, Nigerians wait, not just for a meeting, but for a meaningful action. However, Nigerians have not been keeping quiet on this. Let's take their reactions.
All right, this is more dangerous than doctors going on strike. Your Excellency, Mr. President, don't let such a structure shake under your keen, watchful eyes. I knew it was an Akwa person. You have to do something at official ABAT. We will trust your judgment totally. Because of the use of words, please don't let such a structure shake your keen, watchful eyes. That's a tautology, Vero.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
We don't see me.
Next reaction, if we can get it, please. Hundreds of thousands had fled Nigeria to Western countries for better payment and suitable working environment. Few remaining ones now embarking on strike. No space for breathing in this country. All the sectors of our economy needs healing. Suffered neglect and underdevelopment for far too long, especially the health sector. Death rate is on an all-time high this year. The government should wake up. And they just donated, I knew this was going to come up, and they just donated $100,000 each to footballers. I'm pretty sure that half of those donations will settle nurses, teachers, and retired police officers.
One has nothing to do with the other.
Maybe the president should be cautioned about this before doling out thousands of USD to footballers who played for just 3 weeks, as opposed to professionals who dedicate their entire adult lives into real nation-building careers. But footballers nation build. If nurses or frontline caregivers have to strike to be heard, what hope is left for the sick and poor? When those who heal are hurting, the system is already on life support. This country just tired person. And I think this last one is really, in a way, where I stand. I'm upset at the fact that now they're going to have a committee Now they're going to sit down and attempt to negotiate. They're not. It doesn't even feel like they're doing it with any kind of speed. You're saying you're going to do it on Friday, on August the 1st. Is it August the 1st? Yes. You're going to do it on Friday, on August the 1st. Where's the speed in addressing to this issue? Nurses are pivotal people in the healthcare system, in even the economy as it is. Because people are sick, they cannot contribute to the economy. And they said they gave you warning. Why do people have to strike? It's the same thing that's happening with doctors in Lagos. They embarked on a 3-day strike, but they had given you warning. It's the same thing that may likely happen with the NMA. They're saying that they're going to go on strike for 21 days. They've given you warning. All the flags are flaring and blaring, but it will go on to literally either the day before, few hours before the strike begins, or the day the strike begins. That's when we'll start hearing, we're going to talk, we're going to start negotiate. Why do we do rinse and repeat with people's lives?
I think that honestly, if we link it, because I mean, clearly people are linking it to the conversation about the football has been rewarded. I would not entirely blame Nigerians for having that disposition, because if you look at the swiftness with which the president responded to these players, right, and then look at the fact that if it were to be a working economy where people are getting what they deserve, people are earning well, people are settled, I don't think that people would want to, compare. But looking at the situation now, things are literally in shambles, and then you're coming out again. The money was promised swiftly. I wouldn't say it was given because it hasn't been given yet. So I think it's the fact that people see that you're actually willing to dole out cash, the hundreds of thousands to people who are, I wouldn't say not deserving, they are deserving. But now, if you now compare, this is human life we're talking about. There are people who would need urgent attention, but these people are going on strike, and you seem not to care. Like Tolu said, before we know now, it's now closed-door meetings. Before we know, they're deliberating, they're calling up a committee, and something that you can literally just be also swift about.
The thing, I don't like the fact that this is a lingering problem.
Always.
It's not something that just happened to us like, oh, it just shocked us. This is a lingering problem. It has been ongoing for a very long time. And I just always wonder that if I'm the president, I already know, I didn't know people in his cabinet that predict happening. Of course you know that, once you do this, the ricochet effect should have been predicted. That is why a president has a team. So that before these things rear their heads, you begin to address it. Every sector in this nation needs help. I don't know which sector does not need help. Right now, the health sector they are the ones at the eye of this storm, and we will go on these strikes that never bring out anything but promises. After they sit with the committees, you see some closed-door meetings, and they'll say, okay, we'll call off the strike because the government has made promises. And in a couple of more weeks, we'll come out again and said, none of those promises have been fulfilled, because this is not the first time that they are calling for strike. And this is a very critical agency. This is a critical sector.
Which sector is not critical? Which sector is not critical? We've sat here, we have talked and shared emotions about education as well. Now we're looking at health sector. We are looking at the federal government. I'm looking at states. When you go to the market, you have a list, right? When you have a list, you know the things you're buying. You're buying protein, you're buying carbohydrates, you're buying what you're buying. So there are things that are priority for you. In a state, because when we first started the talk of health this morning, we said from Ogun State to the north, to states in the north. That means we're cutting across states of the federation in the country. So what is the budget of each state that you cannot allocate something wholesome to health? Start to attend to your problems here before they spiral out of hand. But as usual, we have that tendency to ignore. Like you say, we ignore until when you hear strike. Strike is a word that has no effect anymore in the country. You're going on strike not today. Even on the streets, you're going on strike. I beg, don't involve me with your strike. Me just won't sell my market. I just want to do this, I just want to do that. So you see that even the people who are on strike will probably be taking the patients who the hospitals are not attending to. Let me come and see you at your house. Let me come and do it. So is that really striking? If you're striking in a facility where you work, in a healthcare facility where you work, everybody knows you're on strike. But behind, they're telling the person to come and see you in the house so that you can attend to the patients.
Practices now.
There's situations where they follow patients from these public to their own private.
Yes.
Even the nurses work with them. But at the end of the day, it's almost like a chicken and an egg thing. What came first? Them doing that, or the fact that you're inside this place, you're not getting paid enough money, and sometimes you're having to buy supplies yourself, and you're thinking, okay, if I'm going to do all this, why not do it in the name or in favor of my own business?
Yeah.
It always feels like in a way that sometimes Nigeria herds its people into certain positions, and then we're left with very limited options in how we respond. Then people respond, but we still complain about how people respond, not realizing that we're forcing them into some types of responses. It's unfortunate.
Nigeria is a peculiar country. And I feel for everyone. Because whether we like it or not, people are going to die. A lot of terrible things are going to happen. Imagine people that are on life support. Imagine people that are in critical units in the hospital where they need urgent attention and continuous attention. I can't say that what the nurses are asking for is a lot or not enough. They need to come to the table. A lot of this healthcare sector have seen a lot of egress in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
People are leaving in droves. I even met one lovely girl yesterday who's a nurse who said she's going to do everything in her power to get out of Nigeria and go to Malta. I said, why Malta? He said, because borders are closing everywhere, but anywhere you can squeeze through, that she would rather. And I'm like, but this our government, is that not what governance is? To be able to sit down and look at everything and balance and govern.
So is this not a Nigerian, is this now not, is it a bigger picture? It's not only a Nigerian problem, it's an African problem.
It's also an African problem.
It's an African
People
problem.
are saying they're moving residency. You're not talking about taking up residency in another African country. No. You're leaving the continent completely.
Yeah.
And you're going to anywhere where give you chance to enter.
What would you do if they celebrate you and you earn better?
So Lolo said people will die. And it always, because when we have these conversations, I know a lot of Nigerians like to reference the Hippocratic Oath for doctors, and then, their oath. I'm not sure what the nurse's oath is called, but at least saying, first do no harm. At the end of the day, you're frontline medical personnel. Your responsibility is other people's lives. But what about the nurses and their family members who have died? Because even they don't have money for treatment.
Don't they have children
You talked about, they go to the same market as us.
Yeah.
Their children are in
Their
school
children
as
are in
us.
school.
If they don't have a wage that allows them to take anything home, then is there, again, I'm saying,
the crisis is
like you said, you are hurting them.
Remember
the
last
country
year,
and everything hurts them. Like you
hurts them
nicely
into,
put it.
Yeah. Do you remember
hurting
that
them somewhere where they didn't
year,
even intend to go?
Yeah, you remember last year we took some stories about hospitals that are now hiring auxiliary nurses.
Yes.
Because the ones that are trained, they can't afford them. And now people's lives are going to always be in danger because now hospitals will be prioritizing cost over the whether this person is qualified adequately.
Yeah.
I had sat in the hospital before that. I heard the nurse, I swear to you, I heard it with my own ears. Because I carried my daughter and put her on my back and ran for my dear life. When he was telling another nurse that she didn't find that thing they put in front of where they write all your medication and everything. And that she had given the wrong medication before she found it. And she was talking about it in the reception.
like a patient file.
Yeah, that one they hang so that when any doctor, they'll know what they're giving you.
Yes.
She said she gave the guy the wrong medication, that before she found it, if you see the way I ran out of that hospital, called back the doctor and said, sir, what's going on? I know that lady was sacked, but still on still.
She can't be one of one.
If I wasn't there, and my daughter was ill many years ago, I'm not even talking, my daughter is now 20.
So you can imagine how
that has deteriorated.
And these are deeper
I saw
issues.
a story this morning too that we're all laughing that they said some person was actually a private individual was running a blood bank in his house.
Is the person a doctor?
I saw it on one of our
headlines,
reports.
yeah.
I'm like, huh?
the person is not a doctor.
It's not. I said a
just
private
business.
individual.
You see, so it's
People
a
are
business.
just bending the rules. Everybody is. It's becoming haywire.
Yeah.
Everybody is running amok, and if they do not sanitize this system on time,
It's going
And
to
honestly, I think that
Baka, like this is
there are deeper issues than even it's a very pivotal issue, the fact that the health workers are not paid enough. But beyond that's just a surface problem because they need to address the roots. It was still on this table we were talking about a lady, a health worker who was saying that there are no equipment, there are no medications to attend to someone who was literally dying. So there's so many other things that should be addressed. It's not even just about the pay of the staff. And that has unfortunately demotivated them. And now you wouldn't even blame them. You know, you go to the hospital, they say, how many people will I attend to? Even me, I'm human, you know, things like that. But anyways, heavy bleeding, debilitating pain, endless fatigue for millions of Nigerian women. Fibroids aren't just a health condition. They're a silent battle that shapes daily life, fertility, and identity. Why do Black women, especially African women, face fibroids earlier, more frequently, and with greater severity? And most importantly, what options exist beyond surgery? What does real, respectful, and informed care look like? After the break, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, founder of the Nordica Fertility Centre and founder of the Fibroid Care Centre, joins us to break the silence and bring clarity on diagnosis, treatment, fertility, and the future of fibroid care in Nigeria. It's time to replace stigma with science and silence with solutions. Stay with us.
For far too many women, pain has become normal. Heavy bleeding, backaches, fatigue, bloating. They endure it in silence, dismiss it as part of being a woman, and push through as though it's just life. But it's not just life. It could be a condition that affects millions of women, especially women of African descent, often in the prime of their careers, relationships, and reproductive journeys. Research shows that Black women are not only more likely to develop fibroids, but they develop them earlier, larger, and with more severe symptoms. Yet awareness remains painfully low, and treatment options are often misunderstood or completely out of reach, particularly in Nigeria. July marks Fibroid Awareness Month, and for millions of Nigerian women, that's not just a date on the calendar. It's a reminder of battles fought in silence, journeys delayed by fear, stigma, and limited options. Today, we shine a spotlight on the invisible burden too many Nigerian women carry: the stigma, the misdiagnosis, the fertility struggles, and the emotional toll. Joining us is a leading voice on this issue, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi, a renowned fertility expert and founder of both Nordica Fertility Centre and the Fibroid Care Centre. Dr. Ajayi, welcome to Jasiri. I'll say for the first time, because I'm very sure this will not be the last time.
No.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure of that too. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, so we know that fibroids affect like up to 70 to 80% of Nigerian women by the age of 50.
Is that true? 70 to 80?
Yes, in various forms.
Yeah.
So symptoms go undiscussed. There's heavy bleeding, there's bloating, there's also exhaustion. And like we said when we're introducing you on the show, we said many women assume it's just normal periods. It's just, so how do we shift that narrative and make people comfortable with the fact that, listen, there are fibroids and there are symptoms which are getting impossible to ignore. How do we change that into, because most people don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing this.
Yeah.
To increase the awareness that it's not, once there are changes in you, going to the hospital in Nigeria is still like, if I can just postpone it.
Thank you.
Then it's okay. But we want to be able to say, look, when you notice changes, you need to talk to your doctor. I mean, yeah, I know some of the problems that are inherent in that, doing that in Nigeria now, but I guess it's going to get better with time. But the most important thing is awareness. And that's one of the reasons why this is not only a Nigerian problem, it's a global problem. And that's why July has been dedicated to the Fibroids Awareness Month. So that during this month, we can talk about fibroids, just like you said now. So if your menses has changed, what you need to do. And then, of course, one of the problems that we also have is everybody is afraid of surgery. When the only option to treat fibroids was surgery. So you say,
Not my portion.
I don't think it's also
afraid of
just, at this point now, it's not even just being afraid as the only option was surgery. Nurses are on strike. Some doctors, like when people see the deterioration of the healthcare system as well, it increases the fear that was there previously. But there's one point I want to ask you before we move on to the next question. Is pain during menses, during a woman's period, is it normal? Because I think for many women, they've normalized having pain during that time. So is pain normal to some extent, or pain is absolutely abnormal, and that's the time when you need to start asking questions and seeing a professional?
Okay, you know the problem with pain is that
It's different.
yeah, people perceive pain differently. So, but what we say is that when you have pain that is disturbing you from doing your normal chores, then you need to see a doctor.
There are many young people who are like that. Like
Wow.
when they're on the periods, they can't do anything.
Yep.
As in young people who are like in their 20s, early 20s.
That's not normal because we know that it's not only fibroids that can do that. There's also a condition called endometriosis.
And there's
Yes.
PCOS.
You know, so
PCOS,
PCOS
adenomite,
no, PCOS
something.
really and truly does not lead to pain. It makes your cycles to be irregular.
Okay.
But for adenomyosis,
Adenomyosis,
endometriosis,
yeah.
fibroids, those guys, they can really give you a lot of pain.
You know, Dr. Ajayi, there are a number of factors that come together, you know, to create an environment where women prefer silence. And even herbal treatment is an African thing. But believe that Agbo can do marvelously.
Except me.
Your doctors will never agree. So to seeking medical advice and treatment, people would rather take that option. How does cultural and religious shame, you know, around women's body contribute to the delayed diagnosis and treatment? Because I from my upbringing, most of the time when something happens, they want to see other options beyond medical first. It's either if you are from a polygamous home, I want it for some mommy or something, you know.
Or it's village people.
It's village people. It's just intrinsic in us as African or Nigerians to seek other things. Some will even put incisions, you know. There's so many things that form our belief system. But how can we, you know, move past this? Because those are the things that make diagnosis delayed or maybe misdiagnosis.
Or even refusal of treatment.
Or even refusal.
Yeah. But you see, I would like to look at it in a different direction and say it's because of the poor access to healthcare that has made all these other alternatives to thrive. Okay, in places where you have a problem, you can just pick up the phone and you can talk to your doctor there and then. I'm not sure Agbo will be the first thing that you look at. In those climes, they're also looking at holistic medicine.
Medicine, yeah.
Okay, but really, it's like an alternative. Unlike in Nigeria, where it's like number one, and
Yeah.
hospital is number two. So I think if access improves, I'm sure some of those things might also, and then awareness also improves. You know, Nigerians, God must be working.
Overtime
over us, because you see, we don't even understand how our body works. We don't care. We don't want to know. We are talking about people who have gone to university.
Yeah.
Some women they don't even understand what leads to their menstrual period. And when you try to explain, doctor, leave that one. Just treat. You know what I mean? So until we start changing some of those things. Now, the only thing people are interested now is weight loss.
Yeah.
I want to look good. All right. But you have to be healthy even to look good. So
Okay, so are there guidelines in our public health systems for routine screening for fibroids, especially for women? And if not, why not? Women with higher risk, especially.
There's no route. Look, what guideline do we have in the place where hospitals are not? You can't go to hospitals when you want to. You understand what I mean? Yeah, we're all in Nigeria. We know that access is an issue.
Yeah.
It's a very big issue. Lagos is not even Nigeria. So sometimes when we talk about Lagos.
Yes.
Have you gone to other parts of Nigeria and see what actually obtains when you have to go 5 kilometers to get a hospital?
Yeah.
You know, and probably there are no roads or whatever. So it's a lot more complex. But I'm not looking at it as a hopeless situation. I think it's not a hopeless situation. But we just need to be intentional about some of these things. Look at our private, primary health care.
Yeah.
If we run the primary health care properly, at least those ones, they should be accessible to almost everybody. And then we could have a good referral system.
And they will catch certain things early.
That is the secondary and then the
tertiary.
Yeah.
So I think all those things are written down, but we are not doing them yet.
Because, and I understand her question. If you're saying 70 to 60%, 70 to 80% of Nigerian women before the age of 50 will have some kind of encounter with fibroids that will affect their lives, you would expect that along that age, anytime I'm meeting with a doctor or a gynecologist or whatever, there's some kind of questioning around, okay, do you have a family history of it? Or have you experienced this? Almost like because you anticipate it, you're looking out for it like a checklist. So I understand where her question is coming from if it's affecting such a large percent of the population. But I want us to go back to something. That was when we talked about Agbo and some people even will go to church or mosque and sleep for days because they want to treat the fibroids. But a lot of this can worsen symptoms because it delays treatment and it delays diagnosis as well. And I think it's important for us to share the stories of those who unfortunately have chosen that path and what happened to really bring it home to people. So Dr. Ajayi, can you share any experience that really speaks out in your mind about a patient who has either presented with fibroids that have gone untreated or undiagnosed for some time?
I guess that's the story, almost the typical story of almost every patient. Even when the diagnosis is made, they still want to look for
alternatives.
Yeah, because then the only option was surgery. And I mean, let's be sincere, nobody wants to be cut open. Okay, if you can avoid it. So sometimes I don't blame this. You see an 18-year-old, 20-year-old who has fibroids, and then, of course, the parents are even going to tell her that, look, if you don't trouble, unless trouble troubles you. So most of the time, that's why we see a lot of big fibroids in this environment. And what I tell people is that when the fibroids become very big, there is no method of treatment that is not complicated at that point. Even for the open and closed thing, it becomes more complicated.
I've seen the pictures. I have friends who have done fibroid surgery. I have one friend who has done it twice. I know Lupita Nyong'o recently shared her own experience with this. And you know, when you talk about it, you might, because you look at the human body, you think it's just maybe something small. They have brought out, what's the largest fibroid you've brought out?
The football side.
There are bigger ones than footballs.
Yeah, there's some really horribly big ones.
Yes.
But, it's, let's say, maybe about 18 centimeters, 20 centimeters. So
is that not bigger than a baby?
It's bigger than a baby.
Is what? Say it louder, sir.
Some of them are bigger than babies.
Bigger than babies.
Hey, but Dr. Ajayi, you know, when because I like us to be a little more open because everybody is discussing holistic medicine. And I would say that maybe experientially, I could be wrong because you are an orthodox doctor. Are herbal remedies really impossible to, because I've seen people who have laid claims to their fibroids reducing, even from like a diet change. I don't mean even by, maybe not by concoction mix. I have friends who have actually done some kind of food change that has shrunk their fibroids. Are those things not, because the King of England, we're allegedly, we're hearing that he's not even taking holistic orthodox medicine for his cancer. That is, they're going, is there no room for that, sir?
Yeah, there is room. There is no doubt that there is room. But some of these things have to be proven.
Yeah.
Not just mere claims. And that's where the problem is in Nigeria. Everybody claims to, even let's look at the weight loss that we talk about. Some people claim all kinds of things. Tea, whatever, and some of them have actually done surgery.
So gotten injections.
They done gastric.
So that's the problem sometimes, because personally, I've had a personal experience with somebody very close to me, who many years ago, and she decided she was going via this route after. But it never worked. I was a very young doctor then until I became a gynecologist. Then I was the one who had to do a hysterectomy. So with that in mind, anytime I hear that, it makes my...
your mind go back there.
So I am not saying that it can't work, but which one is the one that works? We don't know. So that's the problem. So it's always better to face what we know can work. And that's where,
Okay. Let's go on a quick timeout because we also need to talk about what the data shows and why it seems that women like us, who look like us, who are from the continent, are the ones most disproportionately affected by fibroids. The conversation with Dr. Abayomi Ajayi of Nordica Clinic and the founder of the Fibroid Care Centre continues after this.
Yeah, they like to lose face because we're not going to see it for a little while. Anyway, the data shows that fibroid disproportionately affect women of color more than any other ethnicity of women. Is this tied to the genetics or issues around access to medical care? Why do we seem to have a target on our backs when it comes to fibroids? Because I've been talking about these things for years. I've even heard that some will say, oh, you can catch this by maybe in sexual intercourse. I've seen pure virgins who have developed fibroids. So, doctor, demystify it. What did we do? Who did we offend? Which of our ancestors is throwing us arrow? Because this one is pointed at almost every black woman's back.
Well, yes, it's not any of our ancestors. They are not angry with us. It's in our genes. Okay, and that's where the problem is. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this in July. That the funding for fibroid research globally is not enough.
But the funding for women's medical issues globally is not enough.
Well, there's some issues that have been well trashed.
Breast cancer.
Especially now that we know it's genetic.
Okay.
Because what probably we can do is, if we are able to identify the genes that are transmitting the fibroids. So it's either you can, for example, what we do with sickle cell, with some cancers now, you can pick the embryos that are not affected. And then also you can even do what we call gene editing to be able to correct if you are able to identify the genes. But with fibroids, we have not been able to do that. And that's one of the reasons why people are saying you need to put more money down for fibroid research. So maybe we'll be able to get that over time.
So what makes black women more susceptible? What?
Our genes.
Just genes?
Yeah,
just that.
So in this DNA chain, whatever gene it is that maybe made you black, that brought melanin into your body or into your system, somehow also made you more susceptible to fibroids.
Don't forget that there's some other diseases that Caucasians also are more predisposed to than we're not.
Like what?
Is it a comparison? Is it a competition?
No, because
plenty things that we are not really.
COVID-19.
Oh, are we not susceptible to that?
No, but
too?
even
We didn't die.
Our bones are
Denser
than their own, you know.
Is that not good?
That's good. So we don't break bones anyhow, you know.
And that's good for our older people. We don't see a lot of this hip replacements and all this stuff.
So there's so many things that it's more than the color.
Are there environmental? Are there any environmental factors aside from genes that might predispose women to fibroids?
And I want to add to that because it's the same thing. Is it what we eat? Because a lot of times they say all these health issues are something. Is it what we eat in Africa? Is that some of the factors?
I think it's more of the genes because the other risk factors, which are external,
are lower.
Are common to everybody.
Okay.
So risk factors like your weight, you know, we tend to be heavier than Caucasians. Anyway, whether you drink alcohol and some things that confer some kind of protection, like the diet that you were talking about. If you eat more of leafy green, as
fresh
opposed
foods,
to somebody who is on
a fast food diet,
red meat and so on. Yeah. So the other ones seem to be common to everybody, but the one that we know that is peculiar to us is just our genes. Okay, so that's why we say family history is the strongest thing in fibroids.
So, please, before you ask your question, before you ask your question, I just want to lay the doc to lay the foundation of fibroids. What causes them? As in, because you hear some people say if you haven't had intercourse for years, there's a tendency to be predisposed to fibroids.
These are all these myths.
Exactly. Yeah. So what causes fibroids and what are fibroids? You know, we didn't start with that, which is very...
Is it like, is there a point in your life where maybe it's like a switch that switches on something?
Or it just...
No, you know, we laid something that is in our genes.
Yeah.
So, now, if you have, for example, any disease that you carry genetically, it can be modified by your behavior, external factors.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have agreed that the strongest factor is family history.
It's gene.
Okay. Now, there's some things now that you need to prevent if you have that family history that might protect you from developing fibroids. Okay. So, the first thing you said is the age.
Yeah.
Okay. The older a woman is, especially without having kids,
Yeah.
then the higher the chances that fibroids will develop. Okay. If you start your menses early, say before the age of 12, you are more predisposed to having fibroids. If you don't stop early enough also till about 50, you are more predisposed to having uterine fibroids. We've talked about obesity, we talked about your diet, but like we said, these are just modifying factors. The most important factor is your gene.
Okay.
Can I?
Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned that, we've been asking for more funds. I mean, it goes without saying that this is a condition that affects tons of women. So why is it that we still don't have enough money to do adequate research to understand? Because we are unable to decipher a lot of things. Is it that there is no priority on that, regardless of how many people have been affected?
It's a very tricky question, which I'm trying to avoid going that direction. And I'll tell you what. Some people are inferring is it because it's commoner in blacks?
In black people.
That there is not enough funding for it. I can't answer that question. But that's one of the things that some people are inferring. Okay. And that's why there is a lot of pressure to say, look, we need to put more money into this research. But we know when we talk about putting money in research, we don't do so much research in Africa.
We don't.
Yeah.
We wait for, because do we have even enough? We have not even been able to, what we started with is to even provide services for people who have fibroids. Yeah. So if we cannot do that yet, now going to see
The research is part of it.
it's really a fast stretch. So I think we need to get our priorities right first and foremost.
Yeah.
Let's be able to treat the people who have, and then we'll hopefully latch on the back of the richer countries who,
as they do their own research.
They do their own
Okay, so let's
research.
move to the options available, because often for many women, what they hear is just go get surgery, and that becomes the go-to solution, which does scare a lot of women and even their families. If you're a young girl, it's typically your parents who make the decision. They're going to be quite wary of making that decision. If you're married, there's so many considerations when it comes to the solutions or the treatments for fibroids. So what are the risks of this sort of one-size-fits-all kind of thinking, where if 4 of us had something and you're saying all 4 of us should just go for surgery without looking at it? And then we'll talk about what options are available, because I've heard high intensity frequency, yes. So the ultrasound, that's a new option. But first, why does it seem that go have surgery seems to be the go-to one-size-fits-all option that so many women in Nigeria are presented with?
Okay, let's look at it from the point of view that many people who have fibroids only present when they want to have babies.
Okay. So it's we're looking at a timeline now. Okay.
So they present usually in the 3rd decade of life.
Yeah.
Most. So by that time, you really don't have the luxury of trying other things, because we also know that the reproductive clock is ticking.
Yeah.
So surgery will be the fastest option. Used to be the fastest option. Now, but we know that if you presented earlier, there are some drugs that can be tried, especially when you are not even trying to conceive yet. But these drugs will only give you temporary relief. Okay. Might slow the growth, but will not take it away. Okay. So, but now some non-invasive methods have been introduced into fibroid management. And let me paint the picture in some countries where data is kept. There was a release from France about treating fibroids. And they said 20 out of 100,000 patients who had surgery for fibroids died.
20 out of 100,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
But 2,000 out of 100,000 had complications from surgery. So these complications include blood transfusion, the wound getting infected. When we say the wound getting infected, sometimes some people don't know that even this might compromise your ability to have babies later on. To something that we call deep vein thrombosis, which comes as a result of when you have surgery for fibroids, you have to be immobilized for some time. One of the, and we also stated that one of the risk factors for fibroids is obesity. So it tends to be higher in people who are gifted, if you like. Now, these people also are more predisposed to forming clots.
Blood clots,
in their system. And so when you now have fibroids, which, especially when they're very big, reduces the chances of, dampens your blood flow. And therefore, when you now you have prolonged immobilization, you are more predisposed to having DVT. And so the blood forms in the system, and then you walk around, then it gets dislodged and goes to your lungs, and then that can kill the person. So those are some of these complications that can even arise from surgery, apart from the late complications, which include the fact that you might have scarring in the uterus, and even outside the uterus, which might affect fertility.
And that the fibroids can also still come back.
And that is recurrence also is another. But let's get something straight, and that's one bitter truth. As long as your uterus is still there, you can have recurrence. Because don't forget that is the uterus that is predisposed to growing fibroids from exposure to hormones. Whether you do surgery, whether you do anything, as long as the uterus is still there, you can still develop.
So that's why hysterectomy is an option.
Is the only cure for fibroid cure. But if you still want to have a baby, then that is not an option for you. So that's why now these non-invasive methods are becoming popular.
What is the success rate? Do we have data on the success rates of the non-invasive methods?
Oh, yes. Well, when we say success rate, I don't know what you mean. Because...
Not dying. Maybe let's do...
If it is not dying...
Because there was a death rate and then there was a complication rate. Do we have death and complication rate for these?
No death.
No death.
Because it's so simple in that you just need to lie on a table.
And it's outpatient.
Sorry?
So you just do it one day.
It's outpatient. You're going home that day. The doctor is not even going to touch your tummy, not to talk of anything. He's just going to set the fibroids and then we burn it like...
It's like laser.
Like laser.
No, please, not that word.
And his reaction means people have been saying it's laser. It's a frequency, almost like sound waves.
Yes,
like waves.
It's actually sound waves.
Okay.
Like the ultrasound that you do. Now it's concentrated. Those days that when you do physics or even at play, that you use a magnifying glass and put a piece of paper down and it starts burning the paper. It's the same principle. So it converges the ultrasound rays at that there's a lens in the machine, converges it at that point, and it starts burning what is there. So once the temperature of the tissue is over 60 degrees centigrade, it changes the nature. It's just like you have an egg, and you put it in water, and you boil the water. You can't break that egg into fry. It has been denatured. That's what happens to the fibroids too.
So then how does it pass or it dissolves?
No, the body now shrinks it. The body we need to understand.
It's a fascinating engine.
The body, is a wonderful engine. Because once anything is dead in your body, what does the body do to it?
It eliminates it.
It absorbs it. It just takes it off. So that's what it does to the fibroid. So over time, the fibroid keeps shrinking because we've killed the fibroid and its blood supply. So it's no longer participating. It's there. But it's not participating.
It's not being fed as well. No blood supply.
Nothing.
Dead.
So it's not participating in your system again. But it's there.
All right.
So over time,
is that the same
shrinks.
thing as when they say calcifies? Is that different?
No. Calcified, yes.
Makes it harder.
Calcium is deposited on it. That's what, when we say calcified, it means something has had calcium deposited on it. Yes, it affects the blood supply as well, but it's not dead.
So this one kills it.
This one kills it.
Completely.
Yeah.
Like they say, using insecticide, it kills it dead.
Exactly.
So when we have these conversations, fibroid conversations, it's always in relation or in partnership with fertility conversations. I think it should be a quality of life conversation.
It is.
Not like whether or not women want to have kids or don't want to have kids. So let's talk about fibroids, how it really fits into fertility conversation and the misconceptions. I know one misconception about fibroid and how it affects a woman's chances of getting pregnant. When I heard it, or what I was told, that a baby can grow side by side with fibroid.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the blinking.
What's the question?
Blink twice.
So, how does that work? Because we've been on this table earlier on in the conversation. If you missed it, we were looking at the sizes. If you guys don't know, now we are educated. We know different sizes to fibroids. There's been, football size fibroids. There've been mini ones, and then pick your choice. So,
And then the size of a baby.
yes. So now look at the size of a baby. Imagine a fibroid that is almost the size of a football. Growing alongside with, doesn't it affect the baby in the womb?
Doesn't it compete?
Doesn't it exactly?
But no, let's get something straight. There are 3 types of fibroids, depending on the location.
Yeah, location.
Okay, the most terrible one is the one that stays where the baby should be. So we call that submucous fibroids.
Submucous. Okay.
Okay. The one that stays in the body of the muscle of the uterus, we call that intramural. And the one that stays outside, we call it. Now.
He said extramural. Have you
Yes,
heard it?
put that into my mouth. Now it's gone.
No, it will come, sir.
So now, the one that stays outside, it can be as big as anything, if it's not really big enough to compress the baby down. The problem is that the baby has a limited space to grow in. So, but if the fibroid can stay on top, the uterus can stay below, it might lead to that she will deliver earlier. We call that subserous.
Because it will push the baby down.
Yeah,
The other one is subserous.
So it can push the baby down when there is no space for the uterus to develop anymore. But that probably will cause maybe premature delivery. Okay, but you can have a baby with it. That's a very big one. But then most of the time they are not as big as that. So,
grapefruit, oranges.
They can
Cluster.
coexist. Baby, fibroid, they do coexist. And that's one of the things that we're saying now that people need to understand. The way we take fibroid and infertility is not true, as if it's causal. If you have fibroid, then you must have infertility. It's not true. Fibroids are only responsible for about 3 to 5% of infertility.
Only.
What?
But here in Nigeria, make it seem like it's something.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to marry you if you have fibroid because they say you can't have a baby.
No, it's not true.
What?
So that's one of the things that we need to let people understand that because, and doctors have not made it also easier. Without adequate investigations, once fibroid is seen, it must be fibroid.
Then you cannot,
It can only be fibroid. But most of the time, you now finish the surgery, and the woman refuses to get pregnant because you did not find out why she was not getting pregnant in the first place. In this environment, the commonest reason why people don't get pregnant is the male factor.
Oh,
wow.
There we go.
I hope I'm not shaking anything.
No, but it's a worthy table. It's a worthy table because most women, when it comes to infertility, it's as if the bulk is at the doorstep of women. They just think that, it's something you're not performing adequately, and that is why you're not
Mother-in-laws to say,
but
I'm
now,
not giving my son a child.
I have seen that. I have even experienced a husband who has 0 sperm count.
Oh, yeah.
And he never told his wife.
Yeah.
And doctor, I'm telling you this life story. They tried for 15 years.
Yes.
She just found it.
So he knew that
The language I want to use, I can't use on TV.
He
Regulator will come
but
and
sir,
tell me to
this
come out.
woman has done every of those terrible things you guys do, that they chook something in their fallopian tube. to
HSG.
wash
Meanwhile,
it.
she wasn't the issue.
No.
And the husband knew he was the issue. Doctor, there's so many cases.
Hello,
there are
excuse me.
many.
Look at me. We're diverting. And you know, I told you that Dr. Ajayi was going to come back. Because if we go down this path with this lady, we will not end it.
We're already walking
So
the
let's
path
stay with
down
fibroids
there.
because I'm looking at the time and the time is not on our side, Dr. Ajayi. But I think it's important. So we've talked about treatment, we talked about options, but I think before we end, because they're already saying about 2 minutes left, how do we encourage young women? How do we encourage families, mothers? Because our mothers, you know, once you have your period, it's just you have your period. There's not a conversation about the things you need to look out for, about the changes you anticipate in your body, so that as they grow, they own what is going on in their body. And they can say, you know what, I need to see a doctor. They don't normalize pain the way previous generations have sort of normalized pain.
I'll tell you a story. A lady, she's actually at the MIT in the US, and she's dedicated her whole life to fighting endometriosis. Okay, she doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
So our brother's daughter now started having pains in her teens, and the doctors were saying, "Oh, it's in your head." And this woman picked up the phone and spoke to the doctor. She was the one relaying the story, that she was so harsh with the doctor. It was when she put down the phone that she realized she had been very harsh with the doctor. So she had actually to call back
And apologize.
But that what she saw was that, look, this is what I went through. This, you want this young girl to go through this again? Not on my watch.
Yeah.
You know, and that is one of the things that we're seeing now, that we have to place the information even at the doorstep of these young girls.
Absolutely.
So that even if the mother is not talking to you about it, you own yourself, you know what.
Yeah.
And these girls now, you know, they are not like
Yes, so.
Lolo.
They are wiser in their generation.
My granddaughter was telling me, I was having a discussion with her, and she said, "Grandpa, there are no 9 continents."
We will thank you.
Dr. Ajayi is coming back. He's coming back on the show, but we thank you especially, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. You're such a good teacher. You carry us along easily, and we can actually, we understand. Now we can say that, you know, we have gleaned a bit of
knowledge.
Some medical, some medical
I'm a gynae by association.
I know we're going to have you back, so because we're going to be talking about more issues, because there are more issues around women's health. For far too long, fibroids have been wrapped in silence, dismissed as normal, whispered about in shame, or endured in pain. But today's convo reminds us that silence is not strength, and stigma is not care. Millions of Nigerian women are living with fibroids, and they deserve more than pity. They deserve knowledge. They deserve options and access to care, and the freedom to speak openly about their bodies without fear of judgment. So breaking the silence is the first step. Rebuilding the system is next. So let's keep pushing for awareness, for dignity, and a healthcare system that truly listens to women.